Lesson 6 is solving equations with a distributive property. We've talked about the distributive property where you clear the parentheses. So the steps are going to be the same as lesson 5, except we're going to add one more step to it. Step 1 is clear the parentheses. In these equations, we can't solve them if there's parentheses inside of there because that's one whole term. So we need to break those apart to make two different terms. Step 2 is combine like terms. So all the things that are like each other, we group together, but it's got to be only on the same side of the equation. We can't go across the equal sign and group everything together because then it's not balanced. Step 3, we're going to add or subtract, which means we're going to get rid of the constant or the number by itself. And step 4, we're going to clear the coefficient. The coefficient's the number in front of the variable, and our last step is going to be get rid of that number to get the variable by itself. So in example number 1, I draw that line down and separates the equation into two parts. We distribute the 5 to each of the numbers or variables inside the parentheses. So I do 5 times the x plus, because there's a plus sign here already, 5 times the 8, which is 40. I now make a two-step equation. So I box the 5 and the x, and I get rid of this right here, plus 40, by doing the opposite, which is subtract 40. And I do that on both sides to keep the equation balanced. The 40s cancel. 80 minus 40 gives me 40. Now I can get the x by itself by getting rid of 5, and I do the opposite. So the opposite of multiplying by 5 is dividing both sides by 5. So x equals 8 is my answer. To check this, I still do the same thing. I rewrite the original equation, but I take x out of there, and I put the answer that I get in its place. So I do the parentheses first, following the PEMDAS. 5 times 16 equals 80. 80 equals 80 is true. So that checks. Question 3. I distribute the negative 8 to both of these on the inside, so I get negative 8 times r. I keep the minus sign in there, so minus negative 8 times 7 is negative 56. I want negative 8r by itself, but at first I got to make sure this in here is simplified. Minus a negative 56 is the same as positive. So I do the opposite of positive 56, which is subtract 56. So negative 8r equals 44. I need the r by itself. So I divide by negative 8. So r equals, and I'm going to leave this as an improper fraction, I'm just going to reduce it, negative 11 over 2. To check this, negative 8 times parentheses negative 11 over 2, that's what r was, but now I found the answer, minus 7 equals 100. Parentheses are first, so negative 11 over 2 minus 7. 7 can be written as 14 over 2, so I have a common denominator. So negative 11 minus 14 is negative 25 over 2. I put 8 over 1, and I can reduce these. So 2 is a 1, and 8 is a 4. I take a common factor of 2 out of there. Negative times a negative is a positive, and 4 times 25 is 100. So this checks also. Number 5, we take the 6 and we distribute it to the 3x and to the 7. So 6 times 3x is 18x. The minus sign stays. 6 times 7 is 42 equals negative 6. I want 18x by itself, so I have to get rid of minus 42. I do the opposite of that, which is plus 42. So 18x equals 36. I want x by itself, so I gotta get rid of 18. I do the opposite of that, which is dividing by 18. x equals 2. To check that, 6 times 3 times 2, that was x, but now I found x to be 2, minus 7 equals negative 6. Parentheses first, 6 times 3 times 2 is 6, minus 7 equals negative 6. 6 minus 7 is negative 1. So 6 times negative 1 is negative 6, which is the same on both sides, negative 6. So that checks. Number 7, the 5 in this case gets distributed to both. So 5 times 2 is 10, plus 5 times 7x is 35x, equals negative 100. I draw the line down, cuts it into 2. I want 35x by itself. Be careful, this positive sign goes with the 35x, not with the 10. So it's always the sign in front of the number that it belongs to. In front of this 10, even though it's not written here, there's a positive sign because this is positive 10. To get rid of positive 10, I would do negative 10 or subtract 10. So 35x equals, now these signs are like each other, so I combine them together, that's 110, and I keep it negative because they're both negative. I want x by itself, so I divide by 35 on both sides. Negative 110 over 35, I'm going to reduce this by 5, so that would be 22 over 7. I'm going to keep it in proper fraction because it's going to be easier for me to check. So I'm going to check my answer. 5 times 2 plus 7 times negative 22 over 7 equals negative 100. Parentheses first, and inside those parentheses, I need to do 7 times negative 22 over 7. So this is 7 over 1. These will reduce to 1 each. So plus negative 22 equals negative 110. 2 plus negative 22 is negative 20. 5 times negative 20 is negative 100. So the farther we go along the chapter, to check them is a little harder, but we still ensure that our answer is correct. So I'm going to leave the evens go for now. We'll just do the odds. If you have questions, make sure that you see me in class. Try the evens on your own, and then I can give you the answers for the evens.